All right, in this video, I want to make a yearly outlook for the year. And let's see what last year brought us on the charts and what we can maybe anticipate for the upcoming year. So if we go to, first of all, to the 12-month chart, this is the yearly chart, right? So here we have the years from around 1967. So that's a long, long time ago. Well, if we look at the yearly chart over here, we see that price came up into a fair value gap. And by the looks of it, because when the market closes today, this is what the yearly candle has been on the dollar. And I will go over the dollar, euro, USD, GBP, USD, the NASDAQ, and gold. And I want to make it as clean and short as possible. So what we see over here is that we have a yearly fair value gap that seems to be respected at the moment. It already tapped price over here, went back down, made this candle a nice candle in the form of forming a wick for it over here, tapping into this fair value gap over here, found support and came back up again to fill more of this gap into this order block. Purely looking at structure, we see a really nice balanced price range over here, which price came into over here. Then it broke down. And this is a market structure shift, of course. My templates don't even go on the monthly. Let me see. Let me save that immediately, actually. Came all the way back up over here. Tested that fair value gap again into this order block, maybe even into the mean threshold of this order block. It's possible. Yeah, it also tapped mean threshold and found resistance. And right now it seems to be closing below that yearly fair value gap. So that to me is a first hint that it might want to trade back even lower for right now. So let me see what we have on the monthly, or maybe first 3-month chart. What we saw over here is that we had a 3-month fair value gap. And I've also mentioned this to my community members before, that what I saw on the 3-month chart, let me do it like this, was this fair value gap. So it traded up into here. And what did it do after that? It created a bearish engulfing candle over here, creating this bearish order block. And it tapped into that right now with, within this, a monthly fair value gap. So again, a fair value gap that kept price down. So right now, the first drawn liquidity, of course, is over here. But if we look at the longer term, this was the whole year of 2023. So we started over here and we created 4 quarters. And if we look at this on a monthly chart, you'll see it was a really tight range year. So a really tight range means that next year it's high probable, so 2024 high probable to distribute. And maybe it will manipulate some still a little bit, but this can also be the manipulation, because this seems to me like an accumulating period than the manipulation. And I think it's very high likely that we will see some nice distribution down. That's what the charts are telling me right now. If we just look at the liquidity, which being, of course, the external liquidity in the forms of highs and lows, and the internal liquidity in the forms of the imbalances. And this is a 3-month imbalance that kept price down, forming a bearish engulfing candle. So for the year, we had a really tight range, and last year we had a really big range candle. This year's range stayed within last year's range. So it's highly likely that it will either grab this low of this candle or the high, of course, because it needs to break out somewhere. But my expectation is that we're going to see some downtime and maybe even these equal lows. I cannot really anticipate how much a yearly range is. Let me see, this was a year from April. This was a small range. This is also April. Let me see. This is 2013 and this is 15. Yeah, so 15 expanded. No, 14 expanded. Let me see. This was 2014 to this candle. So this is, let me see, 13%. So what if it would go down, something like that? Well, it's possible. Maybe this is the yearly draw. Let's just put it on the charts. This is the low of 2022, and this is the low of 2021 and 2018. But we have some nice equal lows over here, and in my opinion, we should come lower. So we'll still have to see what it will do in this area, but well, I think all this liquidity is very well possible to take. So with that being said, that means that my bias on the dollar is bearish. Maybe we can even make some sort of measurement. Let me see if we can get maybe 1 standard deviation. So 1.5 over here. So I would love to see if we can come to this 2 standard deviation. But that might take a while, right? So we're still a long way. We still have a long way to go. So yeah, that's my outlook, at least on the dollar right now. Can I make a bullish case? Well, it first needs to start respecting bullish arrays again, because this bigger monthly array, well, yeah, it needs to come above this first and violate this. So for me, it's really simple. As long as price, this is also a balanced price range. If it can win over this balanced price range and then this fair value gap, yeah, then we're going to see some massive action above. But as long as it doesn't do that, we need to look down. So you always need to have like your invalidations. But to me right now, it looks like, yeah, we might see some expansion down. And that would be really nice, because then we can have like a yearly bigger bias on euro dollar, which is bullish. So let's go to the yearly chart of euro. We have a really nice closing, or a up closing, I meant really nice bullish market structure, right? And let me see, this is probably the fair value gap it went to. Yes, even into the order block. So it tapped this final order block over here. And that's where price found support. So if we just look at it like this, if this would be like a 5-minute chart, it is very likely that this will stay as support, right? So looking at this, we had also a really tight yearly range, because this whole candle was the whole year, right? Look at this. It's one of the smallest. This was smaller, but yeah, it's one of these smaller candles. So if we look at this from an accumulation, manipulation, expansion perspective, maybe on a yearly basis, then it would be very nice if it could expand up. And this will take years, right? Eventually go to there. But if we zoom in, because we cannot look that far ahead. It's possible that money doesn't even exist by then, right? Or at least the physical money. So we still need to see how the euro US dollar will be like more a digital currency, and will this be the same? I have no freaking clue. But let's just look at the charts. We tapped into a fair value gap, which was a really nice, also a liquidity grab below here. And then we started violating this 3-month fair value gap. So we violated that by trading through. And right now, if we look at the monthly chart, we found support in nothing because the dollar already tapped this fair value gap. Oh, this fair value gap over here, the monthly. But that created some S&T divergence. So right now it's pushing up. This is the first draw on liquidity. But eventually I think all these highs need to go. And it's just engineering more liquidity to eventually be taken out. Let's go back to the 3-month chart. I actually went to the extreme, also just like dollar. Extreme fair value gap in here. Tap that, and now it's found support over here. So yeah, what I'm looking at actually is if it can go up more for next year. And it does look like it. But of course we need to watch it on a day-to-day basis. But if I just look at the yearly, it's just a nice structure, bullish structure. It went back to the extreme. I can also draw like an OTE, right? So it came back to an OTE, the extreme OTE. Over here, the 7-9. And now we see some support. Also a nice bullish engulfing candle over here on the 3-month chart. So those are signs for me that it's starting to reverse, also on a higher time frame. And it went to the extremes of the premium and discount arrays, and now it wants to trade up. So I'm bullish on the euro. And of course, a day can be bearish, a week can be bearish, and maybe even a month. But still, overall, I'm bullish. And we can start to look at this like an AMD, right? It took liquidity. We had an accumulation period. It was like the whole year this was January. The whole year was like an accumulation phase, right? It grabbed the liquidity below, and we should start to see some nice bigger expansion moves up, in my opinion. So first target for me is the 2 standard deviation over here. That one. So this liquidity was taken. And I think it should definitely go for these highs in the next couple of months. This is a monthly chart, right? This will take some time. It's not like you get some big ass candle. Look at these candles. They are all, well, not that big, right? This is a bigger one. It's 4%. So let me see how many pips. 501, 500 pips, 50 pips. So this is a move of 1800. So that will take some time, right? If you look at all these monthly candles, it can very well take until like maybe Q3 before we hit this level. So let me see, this is Q3 is over here. So it could very well take a while before we hit that. So yeah, I'm actually leaning more bullish than bearish. But of course, it's the same thing, right? If it starts violating the bullish arrays, if it starts closing candles below the monthly fair value gap, then it's very likely that these lows will go, and then eventually these lows will go. And maybe it will still start seeking an extreme in here. But for now, because it really flipped like monthly structure, we had a monthly fair value gap in here that got violated and then became support. It became an inverted fair value gap over here. So this to me are signs. So once it violates this, then it's high likely it will take out this sell side. Once it violates this one, it's high likely that it will start taking out this sell side. So that's how I look at the charts, right? So if we go to GBP USD, it's probably the same thing, but let's see what we have on a yearly chart. Well, that's a bit different. I have not looked at this. Wow, look at the difference. Or maybe, well, let me see. Of course, no, that's actually the case. 7,500. I actually have no idea because I'm really bad at fundamentals. When does, I mean, the UK was in like the Brexit, right? So it should have been somewhere into, I don't know how that works. Well, I just look at the charts and the fundamentals. I'm really bad at them. So this is a totally different chart, right? This is a really bearish chart, actually. And that's weird because that created some sort of SMT divergence, right? So looking at this, 1971. Yeah, 1971. Well, let's take this, 58. This is SMT, 58 to 22. 85, sorry, 58, 85. 3 years after I was born, 85, where are we? This is 85. Wow, that's some massive SMT. Wow, all right. Well, that to me is a sign that EU is a lot stronger than GU, right? So that's an interesting thing. So yeah, I definitely maybe will be looking a lot more for longs on euro dollar then. So let's see what we have. We grab some liquidity over here. So that got taken out. We tapped, we actually filled this completely. Inside range, yearly candle. This 3-month chart, GU is actually at a resistance point still. Those charts are massively different. So we still need to conquer this level. We still need to trade above. Only then these equal highs are being attacked. So over here. But if this indeed was only the manipulation move taking out the yearly low level, and right now we start to see an expansion move. Of course, this is like a turtle soup, right? We have the accumulation, manipulation, and if this is the case that we start moving up, then we can also see some massive expansion moves, and this high eventually will be taken. But this is a 3-month chart, so from this high in 2007 to this low that's 15 years, right? So we can only take it day by day. And let me just take a look on the monthly. This is wow, it's accumulating like crazy. 2017 dipping. This was, this is January. This was the beginning of 2023 on the monthly chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's correct. So right now what we do see is that this monthly fair value gap got violated. Bearish one, and now it's creating a bullish one. So this is a monthly fair value gap. Now creating, it's creating support. So creating a inverted fair value gap. Fair value gap's still the story, right? After it went into this, because on euro this did not get taken. That's why I said there was some sort of SMT divergence going on. Because this gap was already filled and kept the support and price trading up right now. So we really need to close above this bigger box on a 3-month. But right now, because on the lower time frame, it's already respecting the bullish arrays again, it's high likely that it will go for this high eventually. I don't know how many months this will take. I hope in a month or 3 that we will at least take this high. So yeah, also a little bit more bullish because the dollar is bearish, but totally different chart. So G really needs to catch up and show some more signs of strength on the really high time frames, right? So let's go to the NASDAQ. No idea what's going on over there on the chart. So let me see. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. Well, the first thing, and actually the only thing I see, is this yearly fair value gap. Wow, that's massive. Look at the 50%. This is so freaking random, right? That people just bought on the 50%, that price went up. You gotta love the algorithm. Well, all right. Oh, it's almost forming a bullish engulfing candle, but that won't happen in like 11 hours, right? I don't know. Who knows? I would have loved if this would close above here, because that would be massive. Because that would mean that we can get a drop into the bullish order block then, and we can just trade up for a long time. We can be really bullish. But still, all right, so we formed some sort of massive high time frame consolidation range in those 2 candles. Let me see, 3-month chart. We have a really nice bounce. We had a really nice bounce of this 3-month fair value gap. M3. And yeah, these highs are definitely still the drawn liquidity. I've been looking at those for a long time. Also shared that in the weekly updates with the community, of course. Let me see. Yeah, this is the drawn liquidity. There's no doubt about that. But the thing right now is, how high can it go? What can we expect? And it's like, when it comes over here, it's like in price discovery mode, right? So then I can like only look for longs on bigger supports. But for now, yeah, this still looks really bullish, because on the yearly, it definitely respected this fair value gap, pushed up. So it should be strong. Let me see in the 3-month chart. Yeah, all right, this also looks really nice. On a 3-month chart, it should not, let me give you an invalidation level, it should not violate this bullish order block. So when it starts coming below here, and well, the most extreme I wanted to go is into the 50% of this wick, but I don't like to see it go lower. That's a sign of weakness to me. I would rather prefer only a tap of this order block and then just take off. And I would even prefer it more if it would do that before taking out the drawn liquidity. Create one extra liquidity point over here, engineer some extra liquidity, push down and then up. So maybe we can see some sort of manipulation move in the beginning of the year, more bearishly, and then pushing up bullishly for the rest of the year. Also a really nice fair value gap in that wick of that order block. So it's a possibility. Let's just say it like that. But I won't wait for this, because you have to look on an intraday basis, of course, what you can trade. It can very well just push up and never come back again. But if it does come down, this is definitely my point of interest, to look for really good, like more like even swing positions. So yeah, that would be nice. But what can we expect? Well, if I can remember correctly, ICT this things like this, measure the retracement move, and looking for 1 standard deviation. So yeah, this is then definitely a spot I will watch as a target point. So yeah, that's my view on NASDAQ. Let's go to gold. Gold with the massive pushes. Let me see. I have never looked at this yearly chart. Let me see. What do we have over here? We had a nice violated fair value gap over here that got inverted. Oh my, gotta love the algorithm. Look at that. We have a fair value gap over here. It's pushed through. But where did it tap it again? Got to be kidding me, right? Look at this, 50%. Oh man, all right. So it pushed up, then retraced back in, I don't know, 2019, came back for this fair value gap. Oh, look at that. It only tapped the 50%. Oh man. So it's almost closing above this. I would really love it if it would do that, but not yet the case. But however, because it found support back on bullish arrays, yeah, I'm also bullish on gold. And yeah, where can it go? Maybe you can measure like the same thing, right? Let's go for the 1 standard deviation. So price discovery mode, also really nice 3-month chart. Look at that, kept as support, wicked through into the order block over here. Actually, was that an exact tap on the candle? No, only on a wick. Well, still really nice, taking out all these highs. Oh, that high was already taken, only this high, but now at least it grabbed through it big time. So yeah, this 3-month candle is actually closing above this, not above this. I would have loved it if it would close above that, but I don't think that will be the case within like 11 hours. But who knows? But this still is a point of interest to me to hold. And if it violates this low with candle closes below, then we will see a lot lower price. But this is a 3-month chart, right? So we still have a long time to go. Monthly, came back to the order block, tapped it, respected it. This is actually a complete balanced price range, so we don't have any imbalances. That to me, this was a really nice balanced price range. Also tapped into, started pushing higher. I actually had this on my chart, right? This was in one of the weekly outlooks. Let me see, with all the drawings. Ah, yeah, this was a really old weekly outlook where I had mentioned this balanced price. This was the recent one. No problemo. Let me lose that. So on a, let me see, daily chart. It still needs to rebalance some of these candles because they are ugly. But this balanced price range, I actually don't want to see this violated. This over here, this should hold. If it doesn't hold this, then we're going to see a lot lower prices. But this definitely should hold, and then we start to see new highs again. But on a weekly fair value gap, balanced, I don't actually see anything that's relevant. Monthly balanced. Let me see, where was that? This was the 3-month order block. It already tapped into it twice. Can it do it again? Maybe. But then I don't want to see these candles be violated. Maybe one tap. Well, I just want to see price like rip. That would be the preferred case, but so definitely on a yearly basis, bullish. Of course, on a weekly, monthly basis, we need to see what price gives us, because we cannot like trade one direction the whole year. But I do like to look for longs as much as possible the upcoming year. So yeah, this is what I'm looking at actually. As long as price respects bullish arrays on higher time frames, I think the year will be bullish. And of course, we cannot predict like a big crisis and stuff like that, because there are always some weird things going on in the world. So let's not talk about those things, because then I have to get like my aluminium hat, right? Because then I'm, yeah, you know, you know what I mean. So let's not talk about that. Let's just look at the charts. And yeah, of course, when everything crashes down, then of course, all these things don't matter anymore. But then we'll just get into a big short. That's just what we need to do as traders. We need to like change our buys whenever price shows us differently, and not go by what we want it to do, but just look at it. Is it yes or no violating important arrays? That's the only thing you need to watch. So this is my yearly outlook. I am bullish on everything except for dollar. I'm bearish on dollar. And yeah, I hope this was valuable to you to see, to take a look at institutional order flow, to give it like a fancy name. And yeah, I love doing this. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.